Welcome to Sunday Politics, everyone. I am Terry Ikumi. Now, tonight we'll begin with politics in Edo State, especially the forthcoming local government elections scheduled for the 2nd of September. We'll hear from those involved and the concerns of the opposition parties. Also bear in mind that the governorship election follows after the Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo governorship elections. Now, barring any last-minute changes, all is set for the 2023 local government elections in Edo State. And as part of preparations for the local government polls, the Edo State Independent Electoral Commission has scheduled a meeting with relevant stakeholders in the state for August the 24th, 2023. The Administrative Secretary of the Commission, Sunday Osayande, in a statement said the meeting with the stakeholders would hold at the Commission's conference hall in Benin City, while the main political parties in the state, including the ruling PDP and the other opposition parties, are gearing up for the local council polls. Some of the candidates have expressed concerns about the Commission's preparedness for the exercise. So let's get talking now. I am joined by a member of the Labour Party and immediate past president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Olumide Akpata. Welcome to Sunday Politics.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you for having me.
I'm both excited and surprised I could catch you in Abuja at this time, because I know you have a rally in Benin tomorrow.
Well, yes. So thank God for the efficiency of air travel. So hopefully, touch wood, I should be in Benin tomorrow morning in time for the rally. This rally is really almost pretty much a grand finale of sorts that the Labour Party has organized for its candidates in the upcoming local government elections. And we are delighted and we are excited that the presidential candidate of the party, Mr. Peter Obi, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi, will be in Benin with us on tomorrow to join in the rally. And so he will also be handing party flags to our 18 chairmanship candidates, who in turn will hand flags over to our 192 councillorship candidates. So I think the Labour Party is fully geared up and ready to go as far as the local government elections are concerned.
You know, the rallies for local government elections are not popular in Nigerian politics. It's mostly presidential and then state, not to mention the National Assembly election. Those are the times when rallies hold. So why is the Labour Party doing this differently?
Well, Terry, I'm so glad you've asked this question, because that is the lopsided or upside-down approach to politics that some of us are really concerned about. Politics and governance is about the people, and the local government is the tier of government that is closest to the people. But like you've rightly pointed out, the elections that lead to the elections for local government councillorship or chairmanship attracts little or no attention whatsoever. It's very worrisome. It's actually quite. It's a bit of a paradox that the election that is most important, that is closest, or the tier of government that's closest to the people, attracts little or no fanfare as far as when it comes to the elections that lead into those offices. So, but which one of the attracting or the endearing features of the Labour Party, is the fact that it is pro-people. The Labour Party is pro-people, and we are very keen to ensure that we get governance as close to the people as possible, and which is why if others don't find the local government elections important, we definitely do. And we're throwing all we have at it. This is a stand-alone election. The elections taking place in Edo State, stand-alone elections. That's the only local government elections taking place all over the country. And we're giving it everything that we have. On the 2nd of September is actually the day of the elections. And we are definitely ready to go. It's important. Education. A huge chunk of primary education is the responsibility of your local government areas. Healthcare, primary health centers are the responsibility of your local government areas. Even infrastructure, trunk C roads, or I think they're called, responsibility of your local government areas. These markets are the responsibility of your local government areas. These are issues that touch the one we call the common man. These are issues that have a direct bearing on his or her life. And so it's important that whoever is superintending that level of government, that we pay close attention to how he or she emerges.
We will talk about the commitment of state government and the electoral umpire to ensuring a free and fair process. But while we talk about the Labour Party and its preparedness for this election, the question would have to be, how ready are you for this election? And it's mainly because some would say that the Labour Party can just go to sleep considering the fact that it won the presidential election in the state. And I understand, as you had mentioned, that the presidential candidate of your party will be there. Is this the level of preparedness that the Labour Party is showing, and you can confidently say that you would sweep that election, bearing in mind that it is really unlikely, considering the political terrain of Nigeria, for a ruling party not to sweep local government elections?
I think one thing that the elections of the presidential elections taught us is that it's no longer business as usual. I think for those of us who participated and we watched, we saw that the political landscape in Nigeria has been radically altered, and for good. So how prepared are we? The Labour Party, I'm a member of the party and I can't speak to the issue of preparedness. The Labour Party is not resting on its laurels. So we're not just saying because we did well at the presidential polls, we will just sit down and expect that things would work themselves out. Absolutely not. We are fielding candidates for each of the 192 councillor slots. We are fielding candidates for each of the 18 chairmanship slots. We are pounding the streets, knocking door after door. We are enlightening the people, because one worrying feature of this election is that we find that there's almost zero voter enlightenment. We are really surprised that not much has been done to enlighten the people. So our job has been two-pronged. Firstly, alerting people to the fact that these elections are imminent, and then also selling our candidacy, selling our party to the people. So we are extremely geared up. We're pumped because we have done the needful, we have done the homework. Across the 3 senatorial zones of the state, we have gone door to door. So, yeah, maybe in the past it was almost given that the incumbent or the party in power would clear the polls in local government elections. But I urge you to pay close attention to the elections of 2nd of September. There will be many surprises. It is no longer business as usual. I think we're going to have upsets. We're going to have across the state, because the people can see, and people can actually, they're discerning enough to understand. And it may have been the case if we had gone to bed and thrown our hands up in despair and say, as they say, them go write the result. But we're not accepting that. That's not going to happen this time around.
But how united is the Labour Party, considering the leadership crisis that struck the party since the presidential election?
I mean, I can speak to the Labour Party in Edo State. The Labour Party in Edo State is united. There will always be friction. There will always be issues in any family, in any organization. And as upstanding, should I say, citizens that we all are, we have left the matter to the courts to determine. We have gone to the next year of, I think the Court of Appeal has ruled on the matter, and I'm sure if the pugilists, let me call them, decide to go upstairs, I'm sure the courts will do the needful. That has not in any way taken anything away from the efficacy of the Labour Party in Edo State, and I dare say all over the country. And I mean, you need to come to Benin to see. We're on air. We're campaigning vigorously as the law permits, and so I personally have not seen any negative effect of the little bump in the road, which is what I like to call our internal little family quarrel. I haven't seen any negative effect on the efficacy of the party or our impact on the polls, on the upcoming polls.
Are you worried about the level playing field or otherwise in Edo State? Is the ruling party playing fair with regards to the processes leading up to the election?
Well, my focus is on the State Independent Electoral Commission. I really, in matters of this nature, I really ought not to be focusing on the state.
No, but you know, some states, we've seen elections where the ruling party wouldn't allow you to use certain facilities or hold events in certain areas. Is that non-existent in Edo State?
Well, you know, I can only speak to my own experience, and I really do not know of any such incident. My worry is with regard to the State Independent Electoral Commission, because the expectation is that elections are. It's not only when you hear of rigging or violence that an election has been marred, where the processes leading up to the election are not kosher, are not up to scratch. There can be issues. So first and foremost, why not enough? Why no enlightenment, voter enlightenment? Don't they have the budget for that? Why are we not even, what are the guidelines? How are they going to conduct the elections? Are you using the BVAS or not? Why does it take the candidates themselves to have to go educate the people that there's an election coming up? We have at least 3 or 4 local TV stations in Edo State. Why are we not seeing advertorials and stuff telling us that the elections are upcoming? Why are we not seeing, the normal, what you would normally see when an election is imminent, of how people can be, how you vote, where to thumbprint, and all of that stuff? It's really worrisome. And then, because what that does, it engenders, firstly, a lack of awareness, and then apathy, really, because the people, frankly, could not care less if nobody has really alerted them to the fact that there's an election that is imminent. That does a lot of damage to the process, you know what I mean? So I am worried, and for me, I am a lawyer. There's always what you call the presumption of regularity. I want to believe that the state has empowered the Independent Electoral Commission, as it should, and has left them to do what they need to do. I want to believe that budgetary provision has been made for their activities. I want to believe they are training their workers. You know, I really am careful about, the stories we hear. You know, it's election season. All sorts of stories are bandied about. One has to be careful. But the feedback is really not good, with regard to how the commission has fared so far, or how it has conducted itself so far. So I call on them for the time that is left to try and, as much as possible, gain some more ground and inspire more confidence amongst the people, the electorate, and the contestants.
It doesn't seem like there's much time left. We're counting weeks now. But if you have all these concerns, I know that the Commission has scheduled a meeting for the 24th of August. Before this time, have you had to engage with the Commission to voice these concerns? Or what sort of engagement have you had with the Commission leading to this?
Well, I mean, the Labour Party in the Edo State, as far as I know, has continued to engage with the Commission. The Commission is led by the Honourable Justice Oyomire, retired, and they've continued to engage with the Commission on different levels, for different matters. For example, quite a number of our councillorship candidates were unable to submit their forms, were not cleared. We had to engage with the Commission regarding late submission and what the law says. We've also had to try to find out from the Commission what method will be adopted in the voting, because we're quite clear on what the law says, and then we've been trying to get feedback from them. I have a video I watched of the chair of the Commission, who had mentioned that they will not be using the BVAS, who had also, in that video, I don't know what the event was where he was speaking at, but he's on video. He had also mentioned that as far as chairmanship candidates are concerned, when the elections are concluded, the votes for the chairmanship candidates will be taken to another location to be collated. One just gets a bit worried when you listen to stuff like that. But I'm not going to go by a video. I'd rather just go by guidelines that have been issued, speaking to specific issues, so that we can all be confident and comfortable that all will go well and all will be done properly.
You know, I'm tempted to ask this. If you have all these concerns and you've not really had an engagement, the Labour Party has not, perhaps there's nothing clear.
No, Terry, I've said that the party has engaged.
Yeah, well, if it's not yielding, it's not yielding. So the question would have to be, what level of confidence do you have in the State Electoral Commission to conduct this election, considering that up till this moment, the method of voting is not clear?
So we are confident enough to continue, not to stop, confident enough to continue to engage with the electorate, while we keep an eye on developments at the Commission, There is, as you have mentioned, a stakeholders meeting coming up on the 24th of August, a couple of days away, where a lot of our concerns, if not allayed by that time, will be presented. But we're grateful that that forum has been called. And then, of course, and you know, the courts remain there as our last resort in the event that our fears, our concerns are not allayed. But we are confident. You know, we Edo State, and since 1999, with the emergence of the advent of democracy, we have been left without local government administration for about 8 years. 8 years, you know, and most of the time elections are held, and you find that a party in power sweeps the polls, and so we're not going to let the concerns that we have now about the process force us into reticence or force us into how do I put it, giving up. I think we'll be shooting ourselves in the foot if we do that. So we must, as the Americans will say, walk and chew gum at the same time. Focus on the process while we try to fix whatever glitches we think there are.
Do you have fears about perhaps the rescheduling of this election? Because, I mean, this is not the very first date of this election. It's been shifted at least 4 times. Mm-hmm. Do you have fears about it? Well,
that remains a concern. That remains a major concern. And, I mean, I was in Benin earlier on this week, and I got from sources that I would normally consider to be reliable that, oh, that is on the cards. But again, you know, there's only one source of information that is credible as far as the elections are concerned, and that would be the commission itself. So one cannot preempt that, but in response to your question, yes, and it is so. In any organization would be naive not to have consider all scenarios. What will we do in the event that the polls are postponed? What will we do if not? So all those things have been considered. You know what I mean? But it would be foolhardy of us not to take that into consideration, because it has happened before.
This is a very important election, not just for other political parties, but for the Labour Party, because it would like to build on the success of the presidential election, at least test its strength to be sure that it did not win the presidential election because of the popularity of the candidate, but it has a growing strength in the state. So how important is this election to the forthcoming governorship election in the state?
Extremely important, Terry, but I think I must make the point that the Labour Party is pro-people. So I think the immediate objective is to, we want to establish our credentials as a pro-people party. We want to exhibit the fact that we are very concerned about people, the people. You know, one thing that you find in Nigeria is that everything else is taken into consideration in politics and governance except the people themselves. That is really concerning, and the Labour Party has come to show that we are here for the people. That is what attracts many of us to the party. So it is important. Our success at the Google polls will really would flow from how well we do at the local government polls. But I must make the point that that is not the main objective. The main objective is this is the tier of government that is closest to the people, that impacts more on the lives of the people, and we find out that nobody really cares about that, but we do. So we intend to do well, and the expectation is that if the people see us do well at the polls and also when in government at the local government level, they will reward the party when the Guba elections are upon us.
Well, speaking of which, the governorship election, which we just talked about, is almost here, and you just joined the party. There are concerns as to why you've joined the party. Some say that you'd like to be governor of Edo State. So before I ask you about your political intentions, I'd like to ask you what your take is with regards to governance in Edo State. And I ask this so that we understand that you are in touch with the people of Edo State.
So governance in Edo State, governance in Nigeria, as I have tried to point out in my previous comments, my concern really is that the people have been taken out of the equation. You know, so which is why you can't travel from Benin to Auchi. You can't get out of Benin. You can't, the roads are impassable. I mean, I just drove on the roads a couple of weeks ago, and it's just, so, and it's the people that are applying those roads, but it really doesn't matter because they don't matter, right? You find that the schools, I mean, Edo State is not just Benin City, right? You go around the state, the schools, you know, the markets. My take is that we must come down to the level of the people and address the issues that are most important to them. And I think that is lacking in Edo State. I think the people are still holding on to or left with the short end of the stick. And in fairness to those at the helm of affairs presently, this really is a story of government in Nigeria. The people tend to be forgotten. And accountability is almost zero because the people have been taken out of the equation. So Labour Party, I think, which is what I think endears the party to the people, which is why you see that fervor and that fervent, almost hero-like adulation for the candidates of the Labour Party, is because the people get it. They sense that for once you have a group of people who are interested in what they, the people, want. So for me, we're pro-people, and that must be the objective. That must be the compelling. That must be the driving factor. But what's best for the people?
That's why you joined politics, is it?
Absolutely, because I go around the world. You go everywhere, and it's really governance. Governance is about the people, and the systems are made to work. The processes work. The people, there's a social safety net, and the people are how do I put it? They're well catered for within the context of government and governance. But you come home and you find out that you just do a vox pop. You talk to the people and they feel, they disconnect totally. And I must tell you, Terry, I wonder how those who run governments at different levels, how well they sleep at night. Because, you know, when you look at the country, you look at the people, and then you juxtapose that against what our potential is, what our resources are. You must, I would have nightmares if I, because there's a problem.
If you were governor?
Yeah, if I were governor.
Do you want to be governor?
Do I want to be governor? Let's put it this way, I have joined the party. I'm thinking to myself that, firstly, let us organize ourselves. I've put my hand on the plow. I will not be looking back. And as events unfold, as opportunities arise, I think the mindset should be that we are ready to serve at whatever level. We are ready to, you know, work hand in hand with like-minded, with kindred spirits, and work towards the betterment of Edo State and Nigeria. I think that should be where we leave it at for now.
You know, if you become governor, you'd be coming at a time when there's so much distrust between the people and the government, especially quite recently, just a couple of days ago, when the president announced the 5 billion, NEC announced 5 billion naira palliatives for each governor. And the people said, no, you can't entrust that to the hands of governors. And the reason is they've shown that they cannot manage, or they will politicize this whole process and it will not get to us. Is that a concern for you? And how can that level of distrust be addressed?
I mean, can you blame the people? Of course they will not trust. They have been serially disappointed by governments. So, like everybody else, I think anybody who aspires to political office must first understand that you have to eat humble pie. You have to go back to the people, and trust is earned, right? So you have to go and earn their trust. You have to demonstrate to them that indeed you mean what you say what you mean. When you say good morning, it is actually morning, you know. And for me, it's as simple as that. If you have not given anybody, or you've not given the people reason to trust you, they will not trust you. But I mean, it's tough for those who will eventually come into office, you know, in the years to come, because there is a trust deficit that they need to bridge. They need to deal with that first, so to get the people to believe again, to say that indeed, okay, maybe we can try this guy out. Maybe, and you have to hit the ground running. You have to demonstrate that your word is your bond. You can't be trusted.
Absolutely. Mr. Olumide Akpata, I'd like to thank you for your time. I'd like to thank you especially because you almost didn't make it, but you had to. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
And we would speak with you again when there's an official declaration of your intention for maybe governor.
Who knows? Who knows? God's sparing all our lives.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
We will continue the conversation from our studios in Benin City. We have a chairmanship candidate for Unwode local government area of Edo State on the platform of the APC, Barrister Hope Iyare. Good evening, Barrister Iyare.
Good evening, Mr. Terry.
Can you hear me? Good evening, Barrister Iyare.
Good evening, Mr. Terry. I can hear you loud and clear.
Absolutely. So thank you very much for joining us. I think it's interesting that I'll be referring to you. You're a member of the APC, and I'll be referring to you as opposition, considering that your state was once an APC state under the same leadership of Governor Gordon Obaseki and Deputy Governor Philip Shiaibu. How does it feel to be running as opposition in Edo State?
Well, first of all, let me thank you for this opportunity to be on this program. Yes, we are opposition in Edo State today, but however, we believe that the time my party, our party, was the governing party in this state, the people of Edo State will attest to it that they have more of dividends of democracy, even under the present governor and the deputy governor. So, being in opposition has also given us some lessons that will aid us in the complete takeover of our position as the ruling government in Edo State come 2024, sir.
Okay, do you have any concerns? I just finished speaking with Mr. Olumide Akpata. I'm sure you follow the conversation, and his concerns are towards the conduct of the elections, and he's raised concerns about the state electoral, independent electoral commission. Do you have any concerns ahead of the local government elections?
Thank you very much, sir. We share similar concern and apprehension with what the SY president of NBA just spoke about. For example, sir, we all know that elections results are declared at the unit level by the presiding officer and then taken to the work collating officer where the councillorship results are declared. The chairmanship election, if you go by the provision of the Electoral Act, ought to be declared at the local government headquarters. As we speak, to this moment, the ISEC have not told us the mode and where the elections will be declared. It's our fear and it's our apprehension. Secondly, sir, by the guideline produced and by 1st of August, ISEC was supposed to have published the final list of validated candidates. Today is 20th of August. No final list. We are in the field campaigning. We don't know those we are running an election with. We don't know those who are the candidates of other party. We don't know those who are going to be in the ballot with us. These are fear. We also are afraid, sir, of the use of the security network, the Edo State security network, the vigilante. Are they going to partake in this election? We have raised this fear with the relevant security authorities as a party. So we are afraid that what have been playing out in previous local government elections will not play out this time. That is our fear, and by the grace of God, on the 24th, our party will raise it before the ESSEC, and from their response, we would know if there's going to be a change or it's still going to be the same old song in respect of local government election in Nigeria and in Edo State.
What sort of meetings have you had? I know you're looking forward to 24th, but how available has the state's electoral committee chairman been for you to at least voice your concerns?
I think before the election was postponed, we are aware our party, state's hierarchy have written about their fears and apprehension. There have also been constant consultation with ESSEC about having free, fair, and credible election. The winner is not the most important thing in this contest. It is the procedure, the free, fair, and credible election that every Nigerian is yearning for. And that is where the All Progressive Congress stands for. We want free, fair, credible election. And we are taking into consideration the credibility of the present chairman, retired Justice Oyemire, and by the grace of God, we believe he will keep his integrity intact, and members of the ESSEC will keep their integrity intact by doing the right and proper thing.
Does it appear to you as though there would be a level playing field for everyone, considering the fact that the state government, this election is at the behest of the state government? Are you satisfied with the activities of the state government in the build-up to this election?
What? I am not an Hebrew prophet. I cannot say what is happening behind the scene. But from what we are saying in the open, we have the belief that we might be having a free, fair election if the state government give the ESSEC free hand to conduct the election as it ought to be. I've watched the ESSEC chairman and his member touring the 18 local governments. And for us too, we are also seeing the governor of this state moving from local government to local government campaigning, which to us is a sign that maybe the election will be free, fair, and credible. And if it happens like that, it will be to the good name of the governor of Edo State. History will judge him fair. History will judge him right. But if the contrary is observed, history will also judge him accordingly, sir.
Very well, then we'll take a break now. When we come back, we will continue the conversation with Barrister Iyare. Well, just in, the president has approved the redeployment of Engineer Abubakar Momo from the Ministry of Youth to the Federal Ministry of Niger Delta Development. The Federal Ministry of Youth is to be reassigned to a minister designate. The ministers designate allocated to the Federal Ministries of Transportation, Interior, Marine and Blue Economy have been reshuffled. We'll give you the details when we come back from this break. So stay with us. Well, welcome back to Sunday Politics here. Back to the breaking news earlier. President Bola Tinubu has announced new minister designates. He's approved the redeployment of Engineer Abubakar Momo from the Federal Ministry of Youth to the Federal Ministry of Niger Delta Development. The Federal Ministry of Youth is to be reassigned to another minister designate soon. The ministers designate allocated to the Federal Ministries of Transportation, Interior, and Marine and Blue Economy have been reshuffled. His Excellency Adegboyega Oyetola is redeployed as the Honorable Minister of Marine and Blue Economy. Honorable Bumitunji Ojo is redeployed as Honorable Minister of Interior. Honorable Saidu Al-Khali is redeployed as the Honorable Minister of Transportation. Furthermore, both Ministers of State in the oil and gas sector are now domiciled in the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources. Senator Heineken Lokwebri is the Honorable Minister of State, Oil, Petroleum Resources. Honorable Okperipe Ekbu is the Honorable Minister of State, Gas, Petroleum Resources. The President approves the renaming of the Federal Ministry of Environment and Ecological Management as the Federal Ministry of Environment. And it goes further to say that all aforementioned changes take immediate effect by the directive of the President. That's according to a statement by the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, who was also the spokesperson of the President, Mr. Ajuri Ngelale. Now let's return to the conversation with Barrister Hope Iyare. He's the chairmanship candidate for Unwade local government area of Edo State on the platform of the APC. Thank you very much for staying with us, Barrister Iyare.
Thank you, Mr. Terry.
Yeah, let me ask you a question now. With regard to your intention or your ambition to be governor, to be chairman of Unwade local government area of Edo State, how has governance been in your local government area since under the Obaseki and Shaibu administration?
Well, my local government area, as you know, is a rural area. And I would say without mincing words that the dividends of democracy have not been fed by my people as expected. The roads, the schools, like the former NBA president said, the schools too. Benin City is not only Edo State. Come to a hall, the local government headquarters. You would not believe that that is a local government headquarters. We are still hoping and praying that our people of Uwunde will have the needed dividend of democracy from this present administration.
Let me ask you this question just as a wrap up this conversation. Considering the cost of living in the country right now under the APC, on which platform you're trying to be chairman, do you think that the people of Edo State, your local government, or perhaps Edo State in general, because it's a local government election, do you think that the people of Edo State will vote for the APC at any level?
Mr. Terry, elections in Nigeria have come to the stage where the voters and the electorate look at the personality that is on the ballot box. With the last election, general election, it was a clear signal that the candidates drive election now, not the party. So, in the 18 local government, the candidates of the party, of All Progressive Congress, were carefully selected. And I can assure you, sir, that when there is free, fair, credible election, where results, ballot papers will be taken to the polling unit, the results of Edo State will shock the entire nation. What is happening at the national level, it is something that ought to take place. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. And I can assure you that at the end of all this little hardship, Nigeria will be better off for it.
Very well, then. I'd like to say a very big thank you for coming on Sunday Politics, Barrister Hope Iyare. And I wish you well with your chairmanship ambition.
Thank you very much.
All right, on to other things now. The human rights lawyer, Femi Falana, is demanding the immediate release of former chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Abdulrasheed Bawa. Falana, in a statement issued, says the remand order for Bawa had expired and that there's no legal grounds to continue to detain him. The statement reads in part, in view of the fact that Mr. Rashid Bawa is not being charged with any criminal offense whatsoever, the State Security Service ought to have released him from custody. I am not unaware of the claim that Mr. Bawa is being detained on the basis of a remand order issued by a magistrate court in the Federal Capital Territory. It ought to be pointed out that the remand order has become spent, invalid, and illegal, as no magistrate has the power under Section 493 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 or Section 35 of the Constitution of Nigeria to authorize the detention of a criminal suspect for 67 days without trial. He added that under the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, the cumulative lifespan of a remand order is 56 days, therefore having exceeded the detention period permitted by the Administration of Criminal Justice Act and the Constitution of Nigeria, the State Security Service should be directed to release Mr. Abdurrashid Bawa from illegal custody without any further delay. Just to mention that Mr. Bawa has been in the custody of the Department of State Services since June 14, 2023 for alleged financial impropriety under his watch. Now, to speak further on this, I'm joined by Mr. Eze Onyekbere. He is the lead director, Center for Social Justice, and he is a lawyer as well. He joins us virtually. Mr. Onyekbere, thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
I don't know if you've seen the statement from Mr. Falano, but I just read it out, and he says that the action of the EFCC or the federal government as it stands now is illegal as the remand order day has expired.
Well, let me start by saying that under the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, as you rightly pointed out, the detention order can be for a maximum of 56 days, 14 days times 4. So anything outside that period is illegal and cannot be justified under existing laws. Let me even go further to make this point. I think many of my senior colleagues particularly are not adopting a proper jurisprudential disposition to those sections of Administration of Criminal Justice Act. I recall as a young lawyer so many years ago when we were in the Civil Liberties Organization, we fought so hard to declare a holding charge illegal. And what the Administration of Criminal Justice Act has done is to more or less justify the holding charge, and you have a situation where you are holding somebody for 56 days and you are not able to bring a charge. If you look at Section 35 of the Constitution, it is clear. It says you should be able to charge somebody, bring him before a proper court within 48 hours. And then it gave conditions under which that will not have been done. And it includes that you are trying to make sure of the appearance of the person before a court, or a person who have jumped bail, you have to detain him, or you're executing the sentence order of a court, or for a person under 18, you are trying to make sure he's educated and for his welfare. Somebody carrying infectious diseases, you are trying to make sure he does not spread it to the whole of society, or an illegal alien trying to enter Nigeria. And the part of the Constitution that deliberately says that you can, derogate from fundamental rights in the interest of national security, and all those other conditions, you find out that Section 35 is not included because all the conditions upon which you can derogate are already stated in the Constitution. So I dare say that that section of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, if it is considered properly, could be declared unconstitutional. Not to even talk of having exceeded the number of days and you are still holding the person. It's like somebody has an agenda. Keep this person out of circulation. I don't like his face. Simply detain him one way or the other. 56 days is more than enough for you to bring a charge against somebody. And I'm saying that that section, if it is actually interrogated by jurisprudential minds who have an idea of the history of illegal detention in Nigeria and what the Constitution meant to prevent, that section will be declared unconstitutional.
There have been concerns as to security agencies and their respect for the rule of law. And Mr. Femi Falano's point now points in the direction of a breach in the Constitution and a concern as to whether this administration is going to continue in the stead of the former one to disregard court orders and all. But then there are also positions that the DSS or the federal government can reapply to extend the detention time. Is that true?
You cannot apply to extend a statutory provision, which gives you, first of all, you come with the first application. They give you 14 days to detain a person so as to enable you to conclude your investigations if you are really investigating. You come back again to say, oh, well, we've not finished. They give you a second 14 days to enable you bring this person before a court of competent jurisdiction. You come back a third time to say, oh, there are challenges, there are circumstances that have not made us to conclude. You ask for a third extension. They give you a third. First one was 14, second one was 28 days, Third one, you add another 14, about 42. And then the final one that gives it up to 56. How can you begin to apply? We are talking of a constitutional democracy. We are not discussing a military dictatorship. This is the kind of things that we are done under Decree 2. State security detention of persons, decree. Even when the courts gave orders, they say we house the jurisdiction of the court. How can we be discussing in a democracy, detaining a person who you have already accused of committing heinous crimes before the media for 56 days without being able to bring a charge? You recall the DSS was even trying to bring a charge against Emefiele under Buhari, and they were stopped by the courts. And then this time around, it has taken them so long, okay? Even when they eventually brought a charge, they discontinued it and bringing another one. So it's like you are going shopping. You're simply saying, I want to detain this man. If you bring excuse A, it doesn't work, you bring excuse B. So that does not show goodwill. That is not in accordance with the rule of law. It's about the rule of a man, men and women, filled with their personal prejudices and caprices. It's not about the rule of law.
So, Onyekpere, just before we go, you started off this conversation talking about your colleagues and their attitude to matters like this. I like to believe you're talking about the NBA. What do you expect the NBA to do?
Now, my first position was about what I consider, I'm not a court, I don't sit as a judge, as the unconstitutionality of that provision. If you look at Section 35 of the Constitution, I had expected very senior colleague, distinguished senior advocates, the Nigerian Bar Association, to say this provision should not have been allowed in the law. It should not fly because it is open to abuse and that it has been seriously abused. And even if you allowed it and you see the mischief in the existing law, it should be a ground to call for an amendment of that law or a repeal of those provisions that allow the fundamental rights of the citizen to be abused. It's not about Emefiele or Bawa. I may not like their faces, I may not like how they performed in office, but that is beyond the issue because this could be applied to every other citizen who, for no reason or the other, the authorities don't like his face.
Well, what is the specific amendment you call for? Is it the number, the duration of the remand order?
I am saying the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. It says bring a person to trial or bring him before a competent court under a space of 48 hours. And it's not for the purpose of remanding him if you don't have any evidence. It's for the purpose of offering him the opportunity to answer the case. So I want that section of the AJCA expunged because it's in violation of Section 35 of the Constitution. That's what I'm saying. I want people to be able to read that section, lawyers, jurists, journalists, and compare and contrast. Once you come to the point that one is contradicting the other, which means that one cannot stand, and the contradiction is coming from the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, it doesn't make sense to me because I was part of the people who were saying, don't allow holding charges to continue. And we got various judgments and decisions from the High Court and from the Superior Court to say holding charge is illegal, unconstitutional. And today we reintroduce holding charge through the back door and it is being abused.
Very well then. I'd like to thank you very much, Mr. Onyekpere, Lead Director, Center for Social Justice, for your time on Sunday Politics.
Thank you.
For those who don't understand, Mr. Onyekpere wants the ACJA, that's the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, to be amended, that instead of 56 days, it should be expunged completely so that suspects are brought to court within 48, charged to court within 48 hours, which he says is a constitutional provision, and it is the ACJA is actually in violation of that act. And that's it on Sunday Politics today. But just before we go, a quick look at the breaking news scrolling right now that the president has approved the redeployment of Engineer Abubakar Momo from the Federal Ministry of Youth to the Federal Ministry of Niger Delta Development. The Federal Ministry of Youth is to be reassigned to a minister-designate soon. The ministers-designate allocated to the Federal Ministries of Transportation, Interior, Marine and Blue Economy have been reshuffled. His Excellency Adegboyega Oyetola is redeployed as the Honorable Minister of Marine and Blue Economy. Honorable Obumi Tunji Ojo is redeployed as the Honorable Minister of Interior. Honorable Saidu Alkali is redeployed as the Honorable Minister of Transportation. Furthermore, both ministers of state in the oil and gas sector are now domiciled on the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources. Senator Aineken Lukpobiri is the Honorable Minister of State, Oil, Petroleum Resources, while Honorable Ekberikpe Ekpo is the Honorable Minister of State, Gas, Petroleum Resources. The President approves the renaming of the Ministry of Environment and Ecological Management as the Federal Ministry of Environment, and those changes take effect immediately. Well, thanks for your time as well. I am Terry Ikumi. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.